All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Cheap Explorers. On this episode, I'm going to make a fake itinerary, a series of flights throughout Europe to show you guys how you can get really cheap flights to Europe, and then when you're in Europe, how you can travel around Europe. I used these tricks when I was in Europe this last year, getting between different cities, and I was able to plan out an entire trip a month in advance, and it would save me literally thousands of dollars. So yeah, let's go ahead and get going. So the first thing you want to do, you're going to want to go to wowairlines.com. WOW Airlines is an Icelandic airline company, and they just launched in the United States this last year, and they're offering really inexpensive flights to Iceland because they want to increase the tourism. So let's start by going there. SFO to Reykjavik, because I know Reykjavik right now on here, because it's the this is the German or the Icelandic one, the Icelandic airline, is going to be the cheapest. So one-way flights are always really cheap. The stopover program through WOW Airlines is incredible. I would definitely do it. $200 one way. So that puts me in Iceland, September 13th. So that's phase one of your trip. So when you're in Europe, there's a few ways you can find cheap flights. One of them is by using the airline's website. So for example, like Ryanair, I can go to the Ryanair website and I can find which flights are going from which locations. I can try and map it out. But one really cool trick I found was a website called Skyscanner. So Skyscanner, if any of you guys have used Skyscanner before, it's a lot like Expedia, that kind of system. But for some reason, it works really well with the European countries right now. And if you plan about a month and ahead and you're able to book your tickets a month ahead, it has an option there where you can book a ticket from a certain location or a certain country to everywhere, and you'll get outrageous deals. So let's go to Skyscanner and I'll show you a little bit about how to use Skyscanner. Reykjavik, Iceland. Reykjavik to everywhere. So this is the key part right here, the everywhere section. So you click from there to everywhere, from Reykjavik, Reykjavik Airport to everywhere. I can select a date or a cluster of dates and say I want to go from Iceland to everywhere, and it will give me every single country I can fly to. You can find some outrageous deals, and it's not just Ryanair, it's other budget European airlines. I can get to the UK for 30 bucks. Let's go UK to 30 bucks. London. Let's say 4 days in London, just for fun. I switch. Go right, instead of London, I go everywhere. Then I select the date, let's say 24th, cheapest. All right, so I want to go to, let's say Germany. Germany is a cool place to see. Frankfurt, all right, let's go Frankfurt. Remember, you click up here, click the top, switch your destination, Frankfurt, so now you're guaranteed to go anywhere, and then go E. Now, everywhere, let's go depart. Let's spend a few days in Frankfurt, the 27th. Italy, no brainer. You can get a lot of places from Milan. $11, so Frankfurt to Milan on the 28th. Milan to everywhere. So October 4th, so we get a little more time in Italy. All right, tough choices here. Spain, everyone should go to Spain. Oh my gosh. Ibiza. So Milan to Ibiza for 17 US dollars. Ibiza to everywhere. Let's put it, you probably, if you stay longer, you want to stay Saturday night in Ibiza, but if you stay longer, you might die. You got to fly through Spain when you leave. Let's go to Valencia. All right, now let's start thinking about going home. So Valencia, this is where it gets difficult. So you got to get back to San Francisco as our end result, right? So Valencia to everywhere. One thing you can do here, here's a trick. You can do whole month. So I want to do October. Valencia to everywhere. So United Kingdom, that's my ticket out. Because UK, once I get to London again, I can get back to Iceland relatively easy. All right, now for the home stretch. London. Let's go. This is UK. Who Iceland. Now this is going to be a trick I'm going to try because I can't. This is the last day, so I have to fit the smallest possible window. Whole month of October. 26th. $240. Reykjavik to San Francisco. $610 total for the entire trip. So by using WOW Airlines and this combination of WOW Airlines and Skyscanner, I was able to make this fake itinerary from San Francisco to Reykjavik, Reykjavik to London, London to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Milan, Milan to Ibiza, Ibiza to Valencia, Valencia to London, and then I have to take a bus from London to Bristol, and then from Bristol to Reykjavik, and then from Reykjavik back to San Francisco, all for $610. So that flight-wise is unheard of. So using these tricks, it's a great way to get to see these cities and get there inexpensively. So people who have a low budget, like myself, this is a great way to travel. Here's the advantages. The advantage of this system is it's super cheap. You don't have to worry about any flights. If we compared this to another like system where we were flying or using trains to get to these different cities, we would be spending probably around $2,000, $3,000. So you're saving yourself a lot of money. The main disadvantage of these airlines are the caveats for the lower budget airlines. So the caveats are usually bag size, and you can't usually take a checked bag, so you have to carry only a carry-on, and it has to be within a certain size limit. So usually it looks like kind of like a bigger version of a day pack. In a later video, I'll give an example of some of the packs I use while I'm traveling. The other problem is they often have weird rules, like you have to print your boarding pass in advance, otherwise you get charged at the gate. The only other main disadvantage I've had with these airline companies and trying to fly Ryanair to different places is often when you fly to these new cities, you don't usually arrive at the city center. Reykjavik's different, London's different, Frankfurt, I've never been to Frankfurt. Milan, you land an hour away from the city center of Milan. You have to take a bus, and it's €10, so that adds to your cost, it adds to your time, but overall you're saving a lot, but you're not flying into the main Milan airport, you're flying into the outskirt airport. The other one is a good example of that is Munich. Munich, when you land in Munich, you land literally an hour away from the real Munich airport, but that's why they're charging so little. The planes usually aren't super comfortable, but the good news is the flights aren't super long. I would say tune back in, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear some more flight deals. I'll be updating the video blog and the regular blog talking about specific flight deals in the near future. This system that I created, the way I went through this itinerary, I recommend for anyone to use. And just be flexible. That's the main thing with these travel sites. If you can switch, sometimes a date won't work, you just flip it back around, find an alternative location. The hardest part of it is once you create this daisy chain, connecting that last flight. So finding someplace to the very last place. So for us, Reykjavik to San Francisco is easy, but finding someplace back to Reykjavik was a little difficult. That's why we had to go back to London. So yeah, this process only takes a few minutes. You can set up an entire flight series. Yeah, in the future, other episodes I've talked about lodging, and I'm going to talk about different options staying these places, where to stay when you go to these places, and then how to get around when you're in these cities. People often think you only can take the bus or the train. And that's not true. You don't have to take a taxi. There's other alternatives, ride shares, couchsurfer.com. You can use Couchsurfer even for rides. I've got tons of tips about that, and I'll be discussing those in later episodes. But yeah, be sure to subscribe if you'd like to hear some more, and thanks for tuning in.